As mentioned in my previous video, the FX markets are stabilizing and reacting more to fundamentals and not just to political and financial gossip. So here's the headline that we're going to be looking at today. Very relevant. It is the Mexican peso hits a 6 month high against the weakening dollar. And why is this relevant? This is relevant because the Mexican peso it dropped against the dollar right after Trump's reelection. Trump has not been in office for 6 months, and the effect of him winning the presidency is pretty much worn off of the markets by now. Well, here we are, what, 5 months later, and we're starting to get back to market fundamentals and seeing that the Mexican peso is truly the most stable, the most attractive, and just the overall best currency in the Western world, I would say. I mean, what can you really compare it to? The Canadian dollar, the Argentine peso doesn't really. It's a worthless currency. All South American currencies are pretty much worthless. The Brazilian real is pretty strong, and it's been a good performer this year. And the Mexican peso hasn't been a good performer this year, and it wasn't a good performer for the second half of last year. But the reason why that was the case is because of the news headlines. You look at the Mexican peso and you see just how strong it was when all this stuff was going on. Here we are. It's a 1 year chart. Exactly, what, 10 months ago? I want to say 10 months ago. We were already down at 16.4 to the dollar, 16.4 pesos to the dollar. This was just an incredible rise in the currency. And the other reason why it lost value against the dollar was because of politics. Claudia Scheinbaum, I'm not a big fan of her, but there was this perception that the country was going to go further left, further socialist, more deficits, more spending, more social programs, and they were just going to loosen the reins on basically all the fiscal restraints that were seen in prior administrations. Even though the AMLO administration, the sexenio that AMLO presided over, it wasn't a free spending kind of administration. One of the things that he mentioned during his presidency was Republican austerity and like democratic charity or something like that. So it was one of those things that it was one of those labels that was placed on him, even though it wasn't really deserving. I totally believe that he's a leftist, a far leftist, but he cut a lot of government. He cut a lot of government agencies. He cut a lot of government budgets, and he just transferred the money over to social programs, which is one way to pay for it than to just uh, deficit spend and keep those programs and keep the government the size that it was and expand the social programs. But the other reason why the currency is so strong is, like I mentioned, interest rates. Interest rates are very high in Mexico. Interest rates are 9%, even though they're down from 11.5%, 9% versus the inflation rate, which I am expecting to be hovering at 3 pretty soon. That would give us a 6% real interest rate. And you're not seeing a 6% real interest rate anywhere in the world in any major economy. Not in Germany, not in the United States, not in Canada, not in Japan, not in South Korea, Not anywhere really. Mexico has that 6% real interest rate, and the currency has pretty much it's touched its lows so many times now. It keeps touching its lows. It's touched its lows uh, three times, and it just keeps recovering and getting stronger. The Mexican peso, el peso fuerte, it is going to recoup its losses from the second half of last year, and I expect it to strengthen further. It was strengthening since the pandemic, it was strengthening on average about 12.5%. So if we do a little math and we go to our low of 1640, if we do 1640 times 0.875. By the end of this year, we'll be at 14.35 pesos per dollar. And that's the prediction. That's the prediction for the end of this year. The In the shorter term, I mean, the peso's just gonna we're gonna see probably we're probably gonna get back to 19.27 is where we see a little bit of resistance. We bounced off of that. If we go further back, then after breaking that 19.27, we'll go down to 19.11, go sideways a little bit, break to the downside, touch 18.61, go sideways, break to the downside, and at that point it'll just plummet down to 17.75 pesos. And once that's broken, it's just a free fall. It's a free fall down to 16. Once when you get down to 16, you'll go sideways probably for the rest of the year, until until the inflation numbers start to go lower and lower and lower, because Mexico is dropping interest rates. And one of the things that people don't take into account when considering interest rates is the fact that interest rates are a price. What an interest rate is a price on money. So from May of 2023 all the way till April or March of 2023, I'm sorry, 2024, the price of borrowing was 11.25%. This is what the banks paid to borrow from the Bank of Mexico, from Banxico. So imagine what the banks were charging clients to borrow from them. Probably 15, 16, 17, 18%, based on the client's credit worthiness. And so the price of money was just so high. Businesses were paying incredibly high prices for credit to expand, to replace inventory, to make payrolls, to do all the functions of a business. They're paying 11.25. Well, the reason why was inflation was high. Inflation starts going down. The Banxico cut to 11. They kept it there for a long time, from March 2024 all the way till July to August of 2024, and then you start getting gradual decreases. You went down 0.25%, 10.75. You go down 0.25%, 10.5. You go down another 0.5% in November, 10.25. Another in December, 10%. Another, oh, they kept it there for January 2025. Kept it there. So it was December and January was at 10%. Dropped 0.5%. And then they dropped another 0.5%. So I mean that's a really big drop. If you divide 9 by 11, then it is an 81% drop in the price of it of credit right now is 81% lower than it was before. So here we are, and we are starting to see the price of credit go down. When the price of credit goes down, then the cost of interest goes down for businesses, right? It's a cost. Everybody has a cost. If I'm carrying a an interest cost of 1,000 pesos a month, and all of a sudden it is brought down to 700 pesos a month, I have an extra 300 pesos in savings because my one of my costs just went down. The same way it would work the same way as if gas dropped low enough for me to save 300 pesos on my gas bill every single month, right? So costs are going down as the inflation rate starts going down because interest rates start going down. Then the peso is going to get stronger. We are going to see a stronger peso, and seeing a stronger peso will lead to just a reevaluation of exactly how strong the Mexican economy is. Probably get different credit ratings from Fitch and Moody's. And as Mexico goes into a recession, which is supposed to happen, right? It's a business cycle. As Mexico goes into a recession, they will probably start to spend on infrastructure, and infrastructure is funded through government loans. Government borrows money from the public and from private entities too. They issue bonds, and then they build things, right? And so that will be the response, so that unemployment doesn't go higher, even though it's already at historic lows. But if unemployment goes higher, which it definitely is, maquilas are not hiring like they were. If I mean, they're probably laying people off as well. There's not as much spending going on in the economy, so retail workers will probably be laid off pretty soon. And that's just a function of the economy, the boom and bust cycle. Right now, it's a correction, and what will happen is the government will start spending on the infrastructure projects, and so people will have jobs through these government infrastructure projects. There will be government jobs. They will be formal jobs. They will be jobs where the workers have to pay taxes on the registries of ELIMS, and also just they'll have to pay their taxes to El SAT, and more people will be formalized in the economy. And when you get out from the other end of this recession, you will get a lot more people kind of kind of a lot more people that are part of the formal economy, paying taxes, accounted for with bank accounts, and then the economy will probably take off 2026 and 2027. This is the peso parlay. This is the peso parlay, giving you Mexican economy news, Mexican peso news, little bit of optimism, but mainly economic reality. This is how things work. I've been watching this for a good while now, and I'm here to tell you what's going on over there in Mexico, over here. This is how things work, and I am just here to tell you how things are going on here in Mexico. If you are Mexican American like me, I encourage you to get your doble nacionalidad and open a bank account in Mexico and invest in la bolsa de valores, and just get familiarized with the Mexican economy, invest in the Mexican economy, buy property in Mexico, because it's going to boom, and you want to be a part of that. And it's going to be great. You want to go see your family, you want to see your cousins, you want to see your tias, your tios, your abuelitos, your padrinos, your madrinas, everybody, right? So this is the Peso Parlay. Hoping you all invest in Mexico. Bye.